The First Amendment Defense Act would prevent the federal government from discriminating against individuals and organizations based upon their religious beliefs or moral convictions that marriage is the union of one man and one woman, or that sexual relations are properly reserved to such a marriage. Specifically, this act would prohibit the federal government from denying or revoking a nonprofit entity's tax-exempt status and from denying or excluding an individual or organization from a federal grant, contract, or employment for expressing or acting on that belief. The First Amendment Defense Act would also work retroactively by requiring the federal government to look back and consider accrediting any school, college, or entity that failed to be accredited because of a religious belief or moral conviction that marriage is the union of one man and one woman, or that sexual relations are properly reserved to such a marriage. If elected to Congress, would you support or oppose the First Amendment Defense Act?
I would completely support that act. I think that it's a travesty that we have to have an act like that that defends the Constitution. The Constitution shouldn't need defending. But yes, it clearly does in today's society, and I support that completely.
Jeff?
That is an excellent piece of legislation. Congressman Labrador wrote that, and Senator Lee is a co-sponsor in that bill. They've actually made some amendments on that bill. Senator Lee has clarified a couple questions. I think it's an excellent piece of legislation. You look at the sponsors, the co-sponsors on this bill. This is what we need to do. When I'm in Washington, I'll be proud to support that legislation.
Ken?
The Constitution, Amendment 1, says that Congress shall pass no law prohibiting the free exercise of religion. And the courts have held in a number of cases that a person's civil liberties and a person's conscience must be protected by that constitutional provision. And in 1993, Congress passed a law which was the First Amendment Restoration Act, which in effect said exactly that about all statutes, that if someone has an interest and a desire to exercise their First Amendment freedom to exercise their religion according to their conscience, they may do so. The sad thing about this statute is that there are 60 members who have joined in seeking to pass it, whereas another provision we're going to talk about, which is the LGBT Act, which I understand we're going to be asked about, there were 165 congressmen who have joined to pass that statute. But I wholeheartedly support that provision.
Mary?
As a strong constitutional conservative and a Christian, I support the First Amendment Defense Act because it supports two of our most strongly held constitutional rights, freedom of religion and also freedom of speech. We cannot allow, as Christians and strong conservatives, these constitutional rights to be trampled upon. So I absolutely support the First Amendment Defense Act.
Thank you.